Hi, I'm Harriet.
And I'm Victoria, and we are both Wine Society buyers.
And we are here today to give you a whistle-stop tour of Italian wine. So, starting with the northwest of Italy, Victoria, why should we be excited about wines from the northwest of Italy?
So, for the northwest, we're going to focus on the legend that is Piemonte. It's home to what is regarded as one of the most noble grapes of Italy, Nebbiolo, of Barolo and Barbaresco fame, but it's also home to such a wonderful array of indigenous grape varieties. So you've also got Barbera and Dolcetto. From a white perspective, you've got Cortese, which you will rather know as Gavi. So you've got these incredible, on the one hand, age-worthy, structured wines in Barolo and Barbaresco, and then you've got brilliant, vivid, bright, fresh, kind of elegant whites, mineral whites like Gavi de Gavi.
And for those who maybe don't know the region or know the area, can you liken any of these wines to other styles you can find in other countries?
I think Italy as a whole has its own, very much its own signature. But if I was to liken it to, we know our members love French wines, if I was to liken some of the key styles of Piemonte to French wines, we might look at something like Barbera as a juicy, fresh, kind of supple red wine to a young Beaujolais. But then we might look at something like Gavi de Gavi if you love to drink Sancerre, if you love to drink Chablis, for example, these kind of more steely whites, Gavi can give you some of that. And then, if the apex is Barolo or Barbaresco, I would compare those Barolos, Barbarescos perhaps to top Burgundian reds. So,
moving on to the northeast of Italy, that's all about Prosecco and Pinot Grigio, is that right?
So, of course, Prosecco and Pinot Grigio is a huge part of production in the northeast and has particularly been in the spotlight for the last 2 decades. There are some incredible examples of both Pinot Grigio and Prosecco. Prosecco particularly from the hills of Valdobbiadene. That was hard to say, almost got that out. But there's actually so much more to explore in the northeast. Starting with reds, the key grape variety of the region, which you probably don't hear very often because it's not on the labels, but that's Corvina, and that is the grape of Valpolicella Ripasso and Amarone. And just in terms of styles, think of these as moving from a sort of bright, vibrant, crunchy, youthful wine, gaining body, gaining texture, gaining richness towards Amarone. Then from a white perspective, you've got one of the most important and oldest grape varieties in Italy, Garganega. And this is the grape behind Soave Classico and also lesser known Gambarala Classico, which is just to the east of Soave. Some of the best sites for these wines are volcanic, and they produce wines with incredible energy and tension, wines which have great aging potential and are very exciting to drink. Moving north into the mountains, so into the Dolomites, we've got Trentino and Alto Adige, where there is a wealth to explore, both in terms of indigenous grape varieties, but also excitingly for those Pinot drinkers, there's Pinot Nero, there's also Pinot Bianco, which has the ageability of great white Burgundy. Then further to the northeast, you've got Friuli, again with more native grape varieties, the likes of Friulano, the likes of Ribolla Gioia. So there's a lot more to explore for sure.
So, central Italy in a nutshell.
That's a scary task. So I think when most people think about Italian wine, their mind and their heart goes to Tuscany, this beautiful rolling landscapes, the cypress trees, the vineyards. Within Tuscany, the main grape is Sangiovese, but you've got so many different styles and sub-regions and types. So you've got Chianti and Chianti Classico. Further south, you've got Montalcino with the great Brunello di Montalcino, as well as the Rossos. So Sangiovese has this incredible tangy, bright acidity and these sort of fine, almost grainy tannins.
Please tell me you're going to talk about food.
Oh, yes. So I guess probably one of the most famous pairings of certainly in Tuscany, if you're flying into Florence or flying into Pisa, is steak Fiorentina with either a youthful Rosso di Montalcino or a Chianti Classico is just a dream. And then there's obviously also incredible olive oil, incredible tomatoes. So the panzanella salad, it just works brilliantly.
white wine lovers, what have they got to offer?
On Abruzzo and on the Adriatic coastline, you've got wonderful grape varieties like Pecorino and Passerino. These are dry, fresh, vibrant whites, which I'd highly recommend if you like drinking Pinot Grigios or Soaves, but they have got character of their own. They often kind of speak of the sea breeze. On the Tuscan coastline, you've got Vermentino running through Maremma. So there are also a delicious array of whites. And of course, I can't not mention Montepulciano. So Abruzzo is most famous for its Montepulciano grape. Beautiful, rich, quite structured reds, lots of fruit character, but also a sort of savoury and herbal kind of wild edge. They goes beautifully with lamb, for example.
And how would you sum up the South, Victoria?
So from a red wine perspective, if you love bold, fuller-bodied reds, the South is where to go. So for example, if you love Malbec or Shiraz, I'd recommend taking a look at the likes of Primitivo or Negro Amaro from Puglia. So we're on the heel now of Italy. So these are, yes, bold, rich reds, full of kind of black fruit flavours. They are ripe, but they have that characteristic Italian freshness still, and that sort of herbal character that brings brightness to that rich, ripe fruit.
Ooh, I'm also going to butt in right now because one of my favourite areas for drinking white wine is the southern Italy. And if you are the kind of member who likes their bigger, fruitier, more full, more sunshine-driven white wines, there's loads to choose from in southern Italy, such as Fiano, Greco di Tufo, Falanghina. Yeah, really delicious.
And not forgetting Sicily, because actually we've just more or less been talking about the mainland there. Sicily is a treasure trove of varieties unique to Sicily, as well as lots of international varieties. So from a white perspective, you've got Grillo, which is loaded with sort of stone fruit, sunshine. And from a red perspective, you've got Nero d'Avola, similar, kind of more red fruited, but similar in style to some of the Primitivos from Puglia. And of course you've got Etna, but that's a whole nother story.
But go there. And now it's time to beat the clock. Your 30 seconds start now. Barolo or Brunello?
Barolo.
North or south?
North.
Acidity or tannin?
Acidity.
Alps or Dolomites?
Dolomites.
Franciacorta or Prosecco?
Franciacorta.
Gavi or Soave?
Soave.
Sardinia or Sicily?
Sicily.
Amarone or Primitivo?
Amarone.
Mountains or coast?
Mountains.
Pasta or polenta?
Pasta.
And if you were a grape variety from Italy, what would you be?
Nebbiolo. Thanks for watching, and please do let us know which country you'd like us to cover next in the comments.
Vote Spain.
Salute.